Welcome to the Otome.com podcast, where we discuss visual novels. I am Lovers Lens.
And I'm Morig. Today we're diving into the elegant world filled with romance, political intrigue, and interesting gameplay mechanics, Imperial Grace.
Imperial Grace is perfectly blended romance with intricate political maneuvering, and to help us uncover its secret, we're joined by its talented creator. Welcome, Ayael, and thank you for being here.
Very happy to be here. Hi, everyone.
So let's jump right in. As we said, Imperial Grace beautifully combines romance and political drama. We can't deny that it reminds us of something. I want to know if the popular show Game of Thrones inspired your storytelling, and if so, what aspects influenced you the most?
Well, definitely Game of Thrones was a huge inspiration because it really started. I always was fan of like medieval low fantasy stuff, and Game of Thrones like igniting the fire again when it runs. But I discovered it quite late, actually. There was already a couple of seasons out. But yeah, the plot, the drama, it really, really inspired me. For my other inspiration, I would say like it was Empress. It's a Korean drama I discovered quite some time ago on Netflix, and I binge watched the whole show, which is very long with very long episodes. And that's why actually the MC, the main character of the story, is an Empress and not a queen, because I was watching Empress and I was like, okay, Empress in my head.
Very inspired by the Empress story. Yes, I get it.
Even if it's like in Korea, so totally not the same cultural background, but it was the same vibe of political shenanigans and stuff like that, and I really, really liked it. And my last main inspiration is Dragon Age, more in their gameplay and the way they use that game to make us do very interesting choices and stuff like that. Like for the choices part, I really, really, really look at how Dragon Age, the Wolf Saga does, because I think it's something they do very well in the first opus to make you feel like you're part of the world and you have influence on it. So yeah, that's my three main inspiration. Something funny is like after I pitched the game to some people, someone told me, it's like Yes, Your Grace. Even the name was close, and I didn't know about that game. And I played it after, and I thought it was like nice, but a lot of people assume it's one of my inspiration, but actually it's just a huge coincidence.
Just a big coincidence. It happens. I've noticed. I think the biggest example of this was actually two movies that came out during the same time. I forgot their name, and they had the exact same premise. I wish I could remember the name. It was an animated film.
Yeah, I don't know, but this really surprised me because the name was similar, but for different reasons. They also have the system of like resource management and petition, so it's also quite close. And I was really glad I found this afterward, because it's always nice to see what others are making and inspired from it and so on. But yeah, just for the anecdote, if we name the game Imperial Grace, it's because it's understandable both in French, my native language, and in English, because it means the same thing, Imperial and Grace. It doesn't pronounce the same, but yeah, it means the same thing. Like,
that's quite cool.
In French, we say votre grâce and not your grace, but it means the same thing.
Man, French sounds so good. Like, this language is so sexy. I can't even... Let me ask something. You mentioned that you like low fantasy stuff, right? While I played the demo of Imperial Grace, I was actually expecting to have some low fantasy stuff. Is it like, do you have this in your game and it's not in the demo, or you just didn't decide to go on the fantasy part of the stuff?
Not at all. There is no fantasy in the game. Like, we flirt sometime with like religious stuff and people who believes there is magic existing and stuff like that, but there is nothing concrete, no dragons, no anything. The reason is to have like a strong political plot. I believe it's important that the rules are very clear, and on the scope of the story, adding more lore and adding magic rules that you have to deal with and stuff like that seems unnecessary workload and like would confuse the player. Actually, during development, I asked myself if I wanted like more grounded in our reality, like not create my own world, but just took like some French period and go with it. But I wanted some liberty with like the context, and if I was going full historical, I would be bothered by like anachronism
Professors.
and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, no way, there was no woman who ruled during that time in France, and it's not like I wanted to say.
Yes, the actually crowd.
Yeah. So
I get it. Like this was the right decision, even though I would love if it was on a concrete historical period, because I love learning new things through media and games and etc. But you made the right decisions. Like people who do history, like who learn history, they have really strong opinions usually, and they get a lot in different discussions about what happened and what didn't. So it would have gone bad.
Yeah, and especially like there is like an idea of what medieval time are, and then there is reality. Like I studied books in college, and so I know, like for example, the parchment we strongly associate with medieval time is not a thing. You can't really furl a parchment. It was from the papyrus. So at the very, very beginning of the invention of parchment, they like furl it, like scroll it, because they do like the papyrus. But then they realized it really, really don't work that well because it's very stiff, and that's why we invented the books. And it's like, I love this example because you always see unfolding parchment in medieval stuff because it sounds medieval and it creates the atmosphere. And sometimes historical accuracy just like don't feel nice in the story if it's not like your purpose. And all this kind of stuff, I wanted like to just let go of it and be like, yeah, I have contraception in my medieval world. What are you going to say?
Yeah, sometimes like, history gets in the way of making an interesting story.
And I feel like this example you gave us with the scrolls, it's like the same thing with the Viking people, where they put horns on their heads, like headpieces. Like this never happened. This is not a thing, but people still do it. And also, currently, it's very popular to have this throat singing music, and they put it in Viking movies and shows. No idea why. Like, it's Mongolian. It's not supposed to be there. Why? Why do we associate this with history? I have no idea. I guess it's just a vibe. I don't know. Maybe social media did that to us. Not sure.
History is more of a vibe at times, all things considered. Well, the perception of it from a modern lens, I would say.
And not to mention that now we have like the dress-up part. Our artist, I think she would go mad if she had to stick to strict historical accuracy, because she has so much fun doing the most extravagant dress, and it's beautiful, and I am so glad I can pick inspiration. Okay, Victorian, it's good. Medieval, it's good. Renaissance, good. As long as it's not too modern, we take it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
For our listeners who haven't had a chance to play yet, could you give us a brief spoiler-free summary of Imperial Grace?
Sure. So, you wake up and we told you that your father, the king, the emperor, is dead. And so now you have to rule the kingdom of Kalidia. And of course, it's not an easy task. You will have to overcome many challenges, but fortunately you are not alone. You have several advisors to help you on these tasks, and it happened that 4 of them are very hot. I think that's a good description.
It is the perfect description. I just want to tell our listeners that the game is very good and definitely puts you in the role of the Empress, and I felt very good while I was playing, so guys, you should try it. And I already asked you when we started the conversation, but we didn't record it, so I'm gonna ask you again. Are you handling everything yourself? Like, are you doing the writing, the programming, the art, or there's a team involved in creating this complex visual novel? You mentioned the artist for the dresses, but I'm not sure what's going on. Please tell us.
Well, I do have a team to help me, so I myself do the writing, the programming, the marketing, and the UI design. We have a musician, we have an artist, because that's 2 things I absolutely cannot do. We also have a translator, because I write in French. So the base game is in French and it's translated in English after. So we have a translator. So we need proofreader in both language, in English and in French. And I also have 2 people who helps with the writing and the scripting, the staging and stuff like that. So, for example, there is one which wrote most of the petition. I just give him the outlines of it and he wrote them. And another who helped me wrote a couple of scenes of the game and also now is doing all the scripting, like put the right expression on the sprite. And he will also help me with the staging. So I have helps. Fortunately,
you have quite a team, actually.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. That's so nice to have the right people to help you achieve what you want.
Actually, the translation surprised me. So it starts out in French first.
Yeah, it's actually a decision I kind of regret now because it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time out of on top of the development. Like, when everything will be polished in French, we still have to polish it in English. And doing like the dual language from the start is really hard, but there is no way in the world I release my game in French and not in English, like in the same time, when 80% of our players are English speaking, even more actually. I think it might not be like 90 or something. So now I'm stuck with that decision that started because, well, I am writing, and since I am French, I'm writing better in French than in English. So yeah, I think for my next project, I would probably hire a native English writer, so I do not have to handle the translation in the same time that I do the game, because I think like French people really, really are into visual novel, but we have so few options properly translated in French. I really, really want to offer something more to my country, So I want to translate my other project. I actually did, like not me, but my husband did for Autumn Spirit. But it was much more comfortable to be able to release the French part much later on the development than doing both simultaneously.
Yeah, I guess you have to do all of the things twice right now because you're doing it simultaneously. Like every data table should go in French and then in English. Every segment of the
every word
UI.
And since the French is a base game, it means like when I show an English screenshot, I actually had to forge it because the actual screenshot is in French by default.
I get it.
So
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So usually what I do when I want to screenshot the game is like I put it in English and I recreate the scene I wanted to in English, because I don't always have like all the translation ready, even if the script in French is actually ready and so on. So yeah, a lot of complication. And at some point we thought about like voice acting, but it was off the table because we are like, okay, if we do voice acting, we have to do it in French because the script will be much faster in French and not in English, and so on and so on and so on. So yeah, it was not a very clever decision for me.
Since the game has English, since the game is popular towards the English audience, why don't you just do the voice acting in English? I mean, it's universal, and it's I want to hear how Theodore sounds. Okay.
Well, that's fair. But like I said, when we thought about it for the Kickstarter, because it's a lot of money, so it would have to be it could have been funded on the Kickstarter, but like not like that. But even if we had it the goal, that means that we couldn't start recording the line before the English version was done. If we have English was writing, we need the English script ready. And we already said that the English script is taking much longer than the French script. Like, for example, we are finished editing chapter 8 last month in the French version, but we are still at chapter 6 for the translation. So there is quite some gap between the French progression and the English progression, and when you had up the time to record the line for the voice actor and so on, it would considerably like push the release back if we had took this decision back then.
Honestly, working with voice actors could be tricky sometimes because not everyone are free at the same time, and one of the voice actors will give you half of the stuff. The other one will say, well, I can't today because I'm sick and my voice is bad. So it can get complicated. It's a huge addition to a game to have voice acting, but it could be a scope. That's the thing.
Yeah, and we couldn't calculate the number of line, like of word and stuff like that, because it's not the same in English and in French. The two languages can have significant disproportion in terms of number of words and stuff like that, because French is much more wordy than English. So yeah, too complicated. So that's why we brush it off and say maybe for another game, maybe for a smaller game, and maybe for a game we wrote in English in the first place.
So I also wanted to ask, the game explores quite a bit of themes. What would you say is the core idea at the center of Imperial Grace? Power, ambition, love?
I'd say it's still ambition and like empowerment. I want people who play the game, mostly women, but men are welcome too, but to feel empowered, like to do all the stuff we cannot do in real life. And if we want to emasculate a man who was very disrespectful, we can do it because it's a fantasy world and we are the Empress. And love is cool. Love is a huge part of the game, truly. But love is making everything more humans. Like, I think both go very well together because you're not only talking about like there is a catastrophe and you are not just dealing with numbers. It's something I found a bit complicated sometime in like pure management game. It's like, yeah, they are just numbers. You have to make sure your population is the right number and they are happy and stuff like that, but they are not people, they are numbers. And when you mix this with a strong story and with love interest, suddenly it's not numbers anymore. It's your lover, for example, which might be impacted by your decision or wants or doesn't want you to do that. So it influences you a lot, I think, in the way you process the thing and the way you live the most difficult choice. Because I hope, actually, if I did my job right, when you do a complicated choice, you will be like, this will people, real people, like they are not real, but in your head, in your heart, they are. And so that's why I think both goes very well together.
Yes, I really love that. That it's not just resource management, as you said. You also have to take into account the feelings of the people when making the decisions that you are making regarding that. I also wanted to ask, what was the most challenging part of developing the political landscape of Kalidia?
Well, it was not overall the political landscape was not difficult. It was more making it sound more human, like I said before, because I actually started the script with all the shit that would happen. Like literally my first script of Imperial Grace was just, okay, so then you have this catastrophe and then you have this catastrophe and then you have this catastrophe to deal with. And after I created the character I needed, like, okay, so I would need like an advisor and a treasurer and spy master and stuff like that. And for example, the main antagonist of the game happened very, very late into like the development stage. Well, of course, not after I started actually writing the game, but like in the outline, he came very, very late. And then I looked at my script and I was like, okay, the choices are super interesting and all, but the story, like, so we don't know where to focus our feelings, and sometimes the game felt too like reading reports and dealing with it, which is not what I wanted for the game. So yeah, it was to put the human into the plots and not to create the plot and the thing. Like, have been doing role playing for years, so doing like world building is super natural for me because I used to do it like for role playing forum, and so it was my job to create the world and to shape it so people could have fun in it. So this is quite natural for me, like it goes very easily. But then like create the actual story with the actual people inside, that was the most difficult for me.
You said you came from a roleplay background. I kind of have experience with that. I am deeply entrenched in Dungeons and Dragons. You probably know it. So yes, I very much understand making the setting and then populating it with the characters inside. And
I've played his games. I can confirm he's a very good master, like dungeon master. He's doing great stories. I love it. I just wanted to comment that I come from a role-playing background as well. I used to role-play in that kind of forums when I was a teenager, and currently it helps me a lot in life, definitely.
Yeah.
I think I need to apologize for putting our game on a 2-year pause.
Come on, we're not going to talk about that here. It's fine.
I tried.
So, I believe that role-playing definitely helps a lot in your everyday life, the way you communicate to people, the way you see the world around you. You start noticing stuff that you usually wouldn't notice. And yeah, it can develop a lot. It can turn into a passion. It can turn into, in your case, a game. In my case, I started LARPing, and it helps me a lot. So it's very, very useful.
Well, it's where I improve my writing a lot, and also where I meet my husband. So, like,
so cute, really, in a forum.
Yeah, like it was. I'm always bad in number. I think it's 10 plus 5, 15 years ago.
Wow.
So yeah, it was like we met on a role-playing forum on Aragon, like the book.
Yes,
I've read it. The book series.
Nerd shit. And it clicked, so it's like very important for me for several reasons.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so cute. Thank you for sharing that. Very, very much smiling right now. Like, this is beautiful love story. Oh, talking about love, though. Each love interest in your game has such a distinct personality and different dynamics with the Empress. Could you please describe the romantic dynamic between Alexander, the general, and the main character? What makes their bond unique?
Alexander fall into the childhood trope kind of romance. Like, he knew her when she was younger. She helped him during this difficult time of his life, because Alexander is a bastard, but since his father never had legitimate son, he like kinda adopted him and go with it when he was like not prepared to go to the court and stuff like that, while the main character always was the princess, the adored princess who just managed the court flawlessly. So she kinda took him under her wing and protect him from all the gossips and stuff like that. So now he's feeling very grateful for this, and he is really devoted to the MC, and he became himself the general to be able to protect her in his own way after. So yeah, it's like it starts the game already fall in love with the MC, and the MC, she knows it.
Oh, she knows it.
Yeah, she knows it. That's something, it's a dynamic I rarely see, because I don't know. I rarely see it, but it's so obvious. Like, for me, I was like, I wrote Alexander being in admiration of the MC every time she breathed, and I'm like, no, she's not stupid. She cannot have not noticed his love with her. But so it's an interesting romance for me, because it's more like the MC accepting his feelings, which can be overwhelming, and setting up boundaries and being afraid to not be as ideal that he pictured her with time, like afraid that he will at some point see the human behind the idealized figure he imagines and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is a common problem in real relationships as well. Definitely. Like, I have this... I had this friend in the university. We were in school together as well. But we were very close, like very, very close. And I always treated him as a friend, like really close. And at some point, he told me that he has been in love with me for 10 years. And I was dead. Like, I couldn't react. How is this possible? Like, and then I started thinking about it, and what you say, the admiration and everything. Like, I realized that he made an image in his head about me that's not me, really. So it's a common thing, and it's very difficult, and it can be very overwhelming. I am very bad at noticing that little hints right on time. So I didn't realize that Alexander already had feelings for the Empress. And now I feel a little bit bad for my playthrough. Just a little bit.
No, I mean, it's okay. You don't have the whole background of the MC who's lived like 15 years with him.
Yeah.
It will be more obvious over time, I think. But like every time he's speaking to you, he's half blushing. It's the most blush. I use a blush on this sprite more than anyone else.
Yes,
so that's the giveaway.
Yeah.
So yeah, but of course, like he still has a bit of professionalism. He's not like he.
I shouldn't do that. No.
Yeah, of course, like he's, I am not even a real noble because I'm a bastard. I'm definitely not good enough for her. So he's trying his best to hide his feelings. He's just not like super good at it. And the MC is really, really clever. Like, the MC is really a political person. Like, she was raised to it, and it's her job to try to know what people think about her. So it didn't make sense for me that she ignores Alexander's feeling for her when it's what she does all the time. Okay, this person is pretending to like me, but he doesn't. And this person actually likes me, even if it's gruffy and stuff like that. So yeah, the player doesn't have to feel bad if they don't catch it immediately. Because they don't have like the background, they are the character.
I think it's just me. Like, yeah, I'm very bad at that.
I did kind of notice he liked her the first time he came into her room. Well, when
wow, the first time he came into her room, I noticed. Are you bragging right now?
No.
What
yes.
is this?
Yes.
Okay.
But speaking of love interests, I wanted to ask about Theodore, as he's quite interesting in that his relationship starts a bit adversarial with the Empress. Can you tell us more about him and how he relates to her?
The trope I like the most in romance is enemy to lover, and it's actually extremely hard to pull off, I think, to do it like properly. So it was my own twist to it, like they are not exactly enemy, but they have the family background very heavy on them, which start so their relationships start in an antagonized way, even if they are not like enemies in the strict sense of the term. And it's actually one of my favorite to write because he's so grumpy and like they are exchanging one-liner all the time to have the last word, and the dynamic is really funny to write to me because of all the banter and all the sarcasm, and just see him opening slightly after some time when you make the right decision and stuff like that. He is one of the characters who have the most evident evolution through the game, so it was a very fun romance to write.
I've seen actually people in real life that love arguing in their relationship. Like it's just part of it. It's a sport for them.
It's a show. It's a show. Okay? Like
my parents are kind of like that. Every time they get the opportunity to not argue, but definitely, what would be the word for it? Let's say argue for now about a topic. They love challenging each other to see who is right, and kind of reminds me of that.
It's a game of tease, actually.
Yes.
It's a game of tease, and I love that. Theodore was my favorite character. Like when I saw his grumpy face, I was like, "This is my love interest. That's where I'm going." I'm sorry, Alexander. I'm sorry, Asha. I'm sold. I loved him. He reminded me of my boyfriend. He's just as grumpy as Theodore, so I guess this is my type, definitely. And there's this feeling of achievement when you manage to open a little bit his heart and make him laugh or something. Like, yeah, I did it, you bastard. You can't say no to me now. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's the one he's the one who's hardest to conquer his heart. Like, you have really to go the full general way on him to really make him fall in love to
Yes, I love that. Like, it's political in a way.
Yeah.
You have to play a little the game of manipulation and stuff, so you can do it.
And with all the family history, even when you do that, he will be always torn between like feelings and duty and family and stuff.
It's another forbidden love story there.
I love forbidden love stories.
I can see that, yeah.
They are all forbidden in some way.
Actually, yeah. So, talking about forbidden love stories, let's talk about Asha. Her unique complexity due to the romance between women set in medieval court. Can you tell us more about the romantic and political relationship between Asha and the Empress, since I didn't play her out? I don't know anything, so...
Well, Asha looks really radiant and easygoing. Like, she is an ambassador. She knows how to talk well and navigates all the court, and like, she is an excellent, how do you say, like, people who match people with each other, like Cupidon. I didn't have a matchmaker, maybe the word. Yeah, matchmaker. So like, she sees everything. So, like, she's very perceptive, like the MC. She's very perceptive. So it's their relationship is probably the most healthy in some way during the game, because Asha is someone who knows what she wants and will tell what she wants and will be very comfortable about it and will try to respect boundaries and stuff like that. So I really love their relationship for that. And since in her culture, like same women being in love with each other is like totally okay and normal, and they don't care. She has a different eye for this, but she understands that in Kalidia it's not the same, and it is definitely one of the challenge of their relationship and their romance is like more how other people will see it and may cause trouble about it. And but it's also like I wanted to play with this trope we have in actual historical study, and we like, oh, yeah, these two women live with each other for 20 years and never married and stuff. They must have been such good friends.
Such good friends, such loving cousins. So it's something I keep seeing in all historical records, like
sorority. And so I play a lot with that too. Like,
Yes.
no, yeah, don't worry. We can hold hands. We are very good friends.
Yeah. So
Especially-
another forbidden love story,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, of course, always. But yeah, no, it's justly, it doesn't work at all. I don't want to say too much about Asha because that's kind of gross and stuff, but there is more than meet the eye to her, and during the story, you learn to know her better and to see like she's not just shiny and rainbow and cunning and that. And why, for example, why she left Syria when she loves her country so much, that's to discover in the game.
Yes.
no spoilers.
No spoilers. I just want to comment that your characters are extremely well layered, and they have solid backstories, and that makes them feel very alive. Just so you know, I love that very much. Like, your narrative is so good. Thank you for writing that story.
Well, I'm very glad if they do, because I did put a lot of love in these characters to flesh them out, and I really hope that, like, sure, you don't have to love all the love interests. Sometimes we have a type and stuff like that, but I do hope that at least as a character you enjoy them, because even in the other love interest routes they are still a huge part of it, since the game is not like separated in route like in most Otome games, but like a single storyline with branching with romance, but more like a Dragonish style. Every love interest is important, even when you romance someone else. So I'm very glad if you can still love them, even if you are not romancing them.
Yes, I did love them. Like, for real. I just wonder, can you romance multiple characters?
No.
No. Just it locks you in. Just in one
Yeah,
path.
at some point you have a very clear, obvious, like, the screen is practically screaming at you, okay, this is your choice. And so people don't feel stressed. Like, they can test the water all they want, and at some point they have to make a decision. It will be very clear. It's the moment. And at this point, they are locked in their romance. I would really love to write polyamorous thing, especially with Asha. She would be so into it.
Yeah, I can see.
But it's out of scope. Like,
Yes.
there is so many things I wanted to do. Like, no spoiler, but you don't have to end with your love interest at the end of the game, because you are an Empress, and Empress might have political marriage to consider.
Oh,
That's true.
That's
Putting
true.
business before pleasure.
Yeah, that's actually part of the game. So there is already like variation on the romance depending on something I won't elaborate more. So yeah, adding polyamorous to that was too much for one person.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, I
understandable.
get it.
It's
Maybe
too
in the
much
second
scope.
game. Maybe in
Maybe
the
on a
next
future
one.
project.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's still a character I want to discuss. So the Master of Murmurs, I think he was the one giving me the biggest Game of Thrones vibes out of everyone in the game. So it's quite charming, really, in a way. That the fact that he always carries a hood around, keeps his face hidden. What's his dynamic with the Empress, really? And why did you choose to have his romance be a DLC?
Well, so something you need to know is that the Master of Murmurs, he wasn't supposed to be a character.
Okay.
Like, for real, it was a function. Like, okay, I need a spy master. Get the spy master. I will make like mysterious, so I don't have to really bother about him. And then the graph is made in hot, but like so hot. The second he enters the room in the demo, every streamer, every player, even myself, I was like, oh god, I want to date that man.
Yeah, you have like,
this is why I mentioned
no
the
choice
hood.
anymore. I have to write something for him.
And so, that's why it's not a love interest of the main game, because he wasn't planned as a love interest at all. But then, due to popular pressure, I kind of felt like I owe the people a romance for him. Like, it was literal torture to have that handsome, mysterious man bragging all the time and not being able to kiss him. So,
yep.
I offered on the Kickstarter the ability to have him as a romance, but since it wasn't planned on the beginning, I knew I needed more time to flesh out his romance and stuff like that, hence why he wasn't added to the base game, but has a future DLC. And now I really love him as a character. Like, he's still quite mysterious, and you will never learn his real name during the main game, for example. That's something for his romance.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's exciting, actually. I want to play that DLC now. Like,
Yeah.
I really do want to try it out. I feel like that I'm gonna like him even more than Theodore.
Yeah, well, but since he started as a function, like he's a Master of Murmurs, he's a spy master, and I just needed to spy mastering thing, I actually play with that when I decided to flesh him more, to make him an actual main character and stuff. So I really play around that in his personality. Like, he's so devoted to his work that he forgot how to be a person anymore. And you kind of see that in the MC tool. Like, you start to be so devoted in your Empress role, especially if you take decisions that like duty before pleasure and stuff like that. And I think they have a really interesting dynamic because they are really professional together, and in a sense he feels close to you because of that. Like, you feel nobody else can understand how a function can alter your whole life and be the center of everything, and there is so many people relying on you that you really can't take a break and stuff like that. So he has a very kind of like understanding, chill relationship with the MC, but still like shrouded in mystery, and I can talk about myself kind of stuff.
So you convince him to open up, that is.
Yes, another challenge. I love it.
I'm still surprised he was basically born out of the player's demand for him to exist in the game. Because he feels so natural at the start when you first encounter him. He is one of the first people you meet after all.
Yeah, but Alden too, for example. I
That
do
is
have
true.
demand for Alden. That's not happening. But, well, what I mean is, like, if I didn't wish to do a romance for the Master of Murmurs, I wouldn't have, like, people can scream all they want. At some point, I am the developer, and I am the one who have to take the decision for the scope, for the timeline, for the amount of time I will spend on writing and stuff. So that's like my disclaimer for Otome player. It's okay to say you like a character, a side character, and you love to romance it, but some can get really intense about it, and sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming for dev to have like people just talking about the thing they wish your game was instead of what your game actually is. Like, I've seen that for other projects with people would do their own fanfic of the game and say, oh yeah, no, you should do it more like this or more like this, and you should add this or that and have this romance and stuff like that. And it's just like not manageable for a game developer.
Yeah, this kind of fanfic is actually quite common when it comes to TV series where you don't have the choice. It's interesting to see it happening in Otome games as well.
Yeah, to be clear, I don't really have this problem. Like, people are super encouraging, and sure, there was a lot of people asking for Master of Murmurs romance, but they were not diminishing the rest of the story and still show enjoyment and stuff. Like, I'm really speaking more globally about what I see, and like, fanfic is fine for me, at least. Every dev has their own opinion, but like, I don't care if people use their imagination. And like, I recently had someone saying, can I ship the main character with one of my original character? And like, yeah, go ahead. Main character is hot. Do what you want, as long as it's not offensive. Really, I don't care what people do. Once I offer them the world, the characters, the story. I did fanfic when I was younger, so it's all fun and stuff.
Who hasn't?
Yeah. So yeah, it's really more like not being demanding toward the dev. Some people really felt entitled. Like, it's a small indie dev, so we can ask whatever we want. We can make incredibly hard demand and stuff like that, which is something I sometimes find disheartening for other projects which are done with that much love and stuff. And yeah, so I'm very, very happy with the community we have. They are so encouraging and respectful, and I just actually wish that everyone had the same community than me. But also, I'm very capable of saying no when people make unreasonable demands. So I think everything worked out in the end, and that's how Master of Murmurs was created. Because
That's
I also wanted to date him.
So earlier we spoke about how the resource management in the game also plays into the characters and what they want. So I wanted to ask, did the the resource management system, cause any challenges? Did it at any point feel like it was clashing with the storytelling, or were they symbiotic at all points of development?
Absolutely not. Like, really, the management for me is like adding a cherry on the top of the cake. The game is playable without. We have a story mode for people who just don't want to bother with it. Like, maybe I think that can be fun in like second or third playthrough. You just want to explore some part of the story you didn't have and didn't want to bother with managing your resources and stuff like that. But I just think they add something to it, every choices, because sometimes when you are in a game and you have interesting choices to make, like we try to make Imperial Grace choices interesting. So let's say you have someone asking you for money because they want to do research. If you don't have, without the managing system, it's kind of easy to not be a jerk, like, yeah, this person asked me help. I don't see any reason to not help them, so I will help them. And if you pick the option to not help them, it's actually not that interesting. It's because you decided to make like a character which is like very mean or just hates science or whatever. But apart from some very specific roleplay, you have absolutely no reason to not help this character which is asking you. Now, if you have to manage your money, helping a character is about, yeah, I can help him, but then if I have like to renovate the castle because there is a flood or whatever, I won't have money anymore. So is what is asking really, really, really important? And suddenly this choice that sounds almost binary, like, are you going to be nice or not with someone, is actually not binary at all. It's like, yeah, sure, this guy is probably very nice and his research on, I don't know, otters are super cool, but do I have the money on Spain on that? I'm not sure. So for me, the management system just had a whole new layer of choosing very carefully what we have to do, and being sometimes forced to make harsh decisions and not being like a people pleaser. This part of the game just prevents you from being a people pleaser who just say yes to everything, because you have to make choices in the choices you choose to acknowledge or not.
It does blend very well with the politics in the game.
And it makes the decisions quite complex as well. Like, I was constantly checking out my resources and if I'm doing the right thing. And I felt a bit uncomfortable that I was forced out of my people-pleasing idea, but I like it. Like, I like when games do that to me, because, like, you can't be always nice. Come on.
Well, it was like, for me, it had a layer of realism of being like the head of a kingdom, and you can't do nice thing all the time. That said, for people which want to play the story-wise because they hate math and like no, I can't see numbers, I don't want to see numbers, it's okay, I got you. And
Yep.
I think some of the choices, like for example, the very first choice of the demo doesn't actually rely on the resource to be interesting in himself, because it's really like, okay, how do you handle this situation? There is 3 options. They are all good and shitty in their own way. And that at this point, it's really, really just your opinion.
I really like that, commenting on the math thing you said, like, I like that the resources had their own badges. Like, I could easily recognize which one is which one after checking once or twice. I already knew what's going on. And I'm happy that it was not just numbers. Thank you. Like, it makes everything prettier. And I want to ask you, how did you even come up with the idea of adding resource management mechanic in a visual novel game? Like, this is crazy. I felt like you played Crusader Kings and you got inspired and you were like, okay, I'm gonna put this into a love story.
I never played Crusader King.
Okay, how did you got inspired for that then?
I actually kind of like management games, even if I don't have time to play them a lot. But at first, the game was supposed to be a stat raising game like Tokimeki. I was out of my period of just playing Tokimeki and the indie game Backstage Pass, and I was like, oh, that would be so cool to do that in a medieval world. And then I discovered there was something called like a princess. A stat raising with a princess, long live the queen, maybe something like that. And it's just stat raising, and it was a very frustrating game for me because you have absolutely no idea what you need to raise to like pass the check. So I was like, it's really frustrating me, but I kind of like the idea. And somehow it became resource management, because after I was thinking, okay, how could I make it more clear what you have to do? And then I just think, instead of being like start of the personality, it could be like more resources, and so on and so on. That's all. That's it.
Maybe you should try playing Crusader Kings. I think you're gonna like it. Especially there's different mods. You can put a Game of Thrones mode, and all of the characters look like from different families and clans and everything. So I think you're gonna like it. It's very heavy on resource management and politics.
This game is on my to-do list for a while. It does look amazing, but I have like 100 games to play. The thing is, I have a full-time job besides being a game developer, and so I just don't have time anymore for like anything. I
get you.
It's really heavy. I hope that someday I can go full-time game developer, but right now when I stop working, I'm just like so low on energy that anything that will require me to think is too much. So I would just play like random mobile game or watch TV and stuff like that. And
so you can chill, actually. You can relax, not work again.
And I'm lucky if I can do like really one new game a year, even if like there is tons of game I really want to play. For example, like Maid Marian released, we share the same artist, and I really love the dev of Maid Marian. She's a real inspiration for me. And she released like the romance of the character that I love the most, and this has been sitting for a year on my library. Like, I really want to play this, but I have no time.
I'm not surprised at all. Like, every single dev that came to our podcast is always saying the same thing. I have a lot of work to do. 'Cause most of the people are one-man army or just a small team, like indie team. And you guys have a lot of work to do to produce a game, and I know how exhausting this could be. So I really hope that you manage to rest more and become a full-time game developer and do what you love every day. And yeah, and maybe play Crusader Kings afterwards. I really, really do recommend it to you. And as you mentioned, the artists that you share with other developers, I need to express my love to the elegant and detailed style you have in your game. It just fits so well. It's just perfect, the atmosphere, the details. Could you share a bit about how you developed this art direction? How did you decide on the UI design? It's quite different from other Otome games.
Well, for the art, it's simple. I saw the art of Maid Marian, and I just say, okay, I was working on the outline of the game at the time, and I was, okay, I want this artist. I want this style. Like, it just fit perfectly what I had in mind for the game setting and vibe and stuff. But the artist is like a rare Pokemon. It's really hard actually to get in touch with her. So I waited like maybe 2 or 3 weeks before I got an answer, which was a yes, fortunately for me. But like for a long time, I wasn't even sure I wouldn't have to change for another artist. So yeah, it was a stressful moment. Like when you see something and you're like, oh, I want to work with this person, but then you have to make sure that this person is available, that this person likes the project, that this person is affordable for your rates and stuff like that. So hopefully everything worked out in the end. But when I saw her art, I knew I wanted her to work with me on this project. And even more when I learned that she loved doing all the customization thing, because I always had in mind to have a customized MC, and she was so into it. So we worked well on this regard together.
It's quite hard actually to make a customizer in 2D because you have to redraw every single CG with the specific combination, and I can't imagine the amount of work she had to do.
Yeah, that's why the game has very few CG. We only have like 5 per love interest, but since the MC is in all of them, it's really a lot of work. And even more than since the MC, the artist like really wanted to do things properly. So she doesn't just color swap for the skin color and say, okay, here you are, you are full color, it's okay. She actually like changed the facial features of the MC for each individual color skin of the game, because she wanted like black people, for example, if they take the black skin, they wanted them to feel more represented and not just have a color swap.
Yeah.
So even if it doesn't make sense in game, like I cannot say like, okay, this is like black inspired, like Latino inspired and stuff like that. But it actually is have facial feature from all around the world. So I hope that everyone can like just feel nice playing the MC, even if she has like white fantasy hair, definitely taken to Daenerys from Game of Thrones.
I was actually gonna say earlier, at the Kickstarter, the image remind me a bit of Cersei, actually.
Daenerys in style, Cersei in soul.
Oh,
Yeah, definitely.
I know she's a bitch, but Cersei was one of my favorite characters of the show.
yes, she
Same
was a great
here.
character. She is a great character.
And the actress, she's wild, she's amazing. And
Yeah.
She did such a great job. And though, speaking about settings, so I want to ask about Kalidia's setting. It's so filled with political intrigue and very well developed secondary characters. How did you go about building it? And also the characters that inhabit it?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, it was more like, I want this shit to happen to the main character. Like, I really started full biblical, okay, you have the swarm of of insects. There is not something that happened, but it's the idea. Like, I started with the interesting, challenging situations I wanted the main character to overcome as an Empress, because choices were so important to me. And then I thought about, okay, how do I put this into the plot now? And what character do I need? Like, minimum character. Because I was broke, I'm still, but now I have the Kickstarter funding. But at the time, I was broke and I was still determined to put some money on the game, but I wanted like to be clever about it. So I was like, yeah, court drama work well because you don't have like that many characters living, being close to you. And so I really thought about each function I needed, and then I created like them a background and personality and stuff like that, and really worked them out in the story. There was some changes needed in the story to make everything fit perfectly together like pieces of puzzle. But yeah, overall it was more in this process, like, okay, here is the plot I want, so here is the world I need, so here is the character I need, and then since they all have their personality, there's just one way for them to deal with the situation, and the story write itself.
Okay, and that's quite interesting. And you did mention the Kickstarter, and I want to ask about the campaign as well. What was the most important lesson that you learned as a D&D dev from it?
Well, if you are a dev and you are fixing your real estate, you calculate everything with a bit of margin and stuff like that, and then you add 2 or 3 years to it. That's what I learned. I was so confident and so optimistic in the release date of Imperial Grace, and here we are 2 years after the date I announced, and I was like, yeah, no, that's not ready yet.
So just give yourself a year or 2 of leeway.
Yeah, that's more like for indie stuff where you always have to deal with life. It's really complicated to estimate deadline, and you have to take some more time. And like people, as I say, we have such a lovely community. They are being understanding. As long as they see we are doing some work, they are like super encouraging, and they never blame us for being late and stuff like that. But I feel so bad about it. Like, I like to respect my engagement, like say, okay, I will do that, and then I do that. So feeling late is so awful for me, really. And that's really my biggest regret with this campaign. I wish I was more, I could predict more the time I would need and be open about it from the beginning to the backer and say, okay, it won't come before 2025, and that's all. And for the campaign itself, I'm really glad how we did it. Like, frankly, it was a lot of work, a lot of preparation, but I'm super proud. We raised lots of money for a first time project. Like, I only released 2 game jam before, so it's our first commercial project, and we raised quite a bit of money for that.
Congratulations, actually. This is your first commercial project.
Yeah. And I'm so happy with it. with the results. I only wished I had more time to prepare. Like, I didn't even remember why I wanted to happen in like April, May, stuff like that. But I really wanted to happen at this period. And so we kind of rushed the preparation. So it was a lot of stress. In the end, it worked out. But when I say you need 3 months to prepare your Kickstarter, some people think I am exaggerating, but not at all. Actually make it 4. And so you can prepare all relax and all. That would be my advice to other time.
We completely believe you that it takes months to prepare a Kickstarter because we might have some experience in that regard.
Yep.
We've had to have the same struggles at one point.
Yeah. So, yes, people, you should take your time when you're doing a Kickstarter. Definitely. It's not as easy as it looks. And you managed the Otome community and the previous answer, so I want to ask you about player feedback from the demo. Like, I could see from the comments that people have been very passionate, particularly regarding character interactions. So was there any feedback that surprised you or significantly influenced the development aside from the additional DLC that you decided to add because of the community?
Most of the feedback was comforting on the fact that I was doing the things right. Like, I was really adamant about having a strong main character, which is ambitious and have like some bitch vibe to it sometimes. Like, it's definitely, I love watching streamer play a game, and the very, very beginning of the story, people are like, they come in and they're like, oh, your father was killed, and everybody thinks it's a sad thing, and then I'm saying like, yeah, great, my father is dead. And that's the moment they understand which kind of character they are playing, and they have some room about how your personality has a main character. Like, there is some room, but there is some hard stone personality trait. As I say, she's clever, she's educated, and she is a political monster which will manipulate people if necessary. And it's not like a traditional archetype of Otome MC. Like, of course, we have more diversity in the West, like compared to the Japan, who have very, very passive MC for most of them, even if it changes. I feel like it's changing through this time. But when I created the demo, like now it's 4 years ago, it wasn't like the most common type of MC, and I was a bit afraid that people would actually hate her for being so assertive, and people loved it. I received lots of feedback telling me they loved the MC, how she was, and so it was very comforting for me to know that I wasn't the only one who liked this kind of characters, and that the story would be well received in this regard. And I think that most of our feedback are positive things to encourage us to keep our way, so it's what we do. Otherwise, we had a couple of feedback, like, for example, on accessibility. So it's something I always take into consideration, even if it's not always easy to actually implement it in game. I want most people to feel comfortable playing the game. So that's why we added color blindness and stuff like that. And for the full release, I want to add something to avoid like fast contrast, like it's white and it's black, because some people are photosensitive, and apparently the petition is a nightmare to them, and I had absolutely no idea. So when I am revamping the UI, it's something I take into consideration now. But yeah, mostly it was people encouraging us in the way we are already doing things. So it's just like pure fuel to me.
You really did thought about everything, didn't you? Like literally everything that could happen, you already figured it out, and you made a setting about it.
I don't know if I said everything, but I do love reading the comments to people. Like, they don't know how much fuel I take from it. Like, Sometimes I'm feeling down and I see I have a new comment on the page, and that's why I answer every single one of them, because except for this one racist thing we had to take off, it was always positive vibe sent to the team, and I really am grateful for it. It helps for such long time work.
People, please comment on developers' games, itch.io pages, or YouTube channels. Please do. It really helps. Like, we can see it, definitely. So, we saw that you have some plans for a marriage theme DLC. Is this true?
Yes, it was unlocked as a Kickstarter. I don't know when it will come with, considering we are already late on the main game development, but it will happen.
So, while playing the demo, I felt like a marriage is the end goal in the end. I don't know why I felt like that. And I was kind of surprised that you decided to have that as a DLC. Why did you do that?
Well, as I mentioned, the thing I cannot tell too much about it, you are not necessarily ending with your love interest in the game. So that's one thing. And, how do I say? I think that marriage are interesting in medieval type of things because it's political. And we already said that each character had a reason to not marry the MC. Alexander is a bastard. Theodore family hates you more than anything. Asha is a woman. And so marrying them, it's your own challenge. And I thought like it was an interesting plot on itself. The way I see it and the way I plotted it, the marriage DLC will not be like the main game because it will be individual routes for each character. And like just a nice piece of story where you can learn to know them more intimately and their family. Like the most of the budget of the DLC for the marriage was to create characters, one character per character. So, like for example, for Asha, you will meet the Queen of Assyria, Maeva, because she has some history with her. For Theodore, you will meet his parents and stuff like that. So for me, like the marriage won't have like big plots happening or catastrophe. The MC had enough to deal with in the main game. I really, really see it like fan service. For me, it will be pure, interesting fan service because after struggling so much, you deserve to have a nice time with your love interest. And that's why it felt nice as a DLC. Like, in the epilogue of the main game, you can be married with your love interest and we say, yeah, you married him, congratulations. But seeing the actual thing, the preparation, the ceremony, the night of the marriage, it's kind of nice, but it's also a lot of work, hence the DLC part.
Yes, I get it. I understand now. And also, girlies like to plan weddings a lot, so I think people will like it. And what about the main game? Do you see yourself making a sequel or another game set in the same universe? Maybe even more DLCs?
So I don't think we will have more DLC than the 2 we planned. I am debating myself with adding an ace route to the game when I release the Master of Murmurs, like to have actually like Master of Murmurs romance and also no romance at all if you don't want to. I am debating it and it will be depending on the scope and how I feel at this time, if I have the time to pull this off so it's still a satisfying story and people are like not just cut off content but actually have more time with the side character and stuff like that. It's something I want to do, but I feel like it's not its own DLC and just could go with extra with the Master of Murmurs and be like, okay, extra romance or no romance in this case. For the sequel and prequel, we actually have a prequel plan, but once everything else is done, I have this small game idea, like very, very small. So I might do it in a jam. Like, since I love doing like 1 month jam, it will be really cool, I think, to do that at this moment. And it will be about Melisandre first, the first queen of Kalidia, which was then married, like the lore of the game, like the creation of the empire who rule is like a general from the Narbai Empire came to conquer the land, and like he kinda fall in love with the queen of one of the small kingdom there. So he cut off the tie with his actual country and just decided to start his own empire with his queen. And this is Queen Melisandre. And it's like, I feel like it's an interesting love story.
Yeah,
so, like,
definitely. I would like to see that happening, because in the demo you can choose to, on the ceremony you can. Oh, I'm gonna spoil a little bit here. Can I spoil
it's
a little
okay.
bit? Okay.
I think that everything in the demo is okay to spoil. There is nothing.
Okay, so on the ceremony, you can decide whether you want to keep your name or take the name of Melisandre, right?
Yeah.
So I decided to take the name to honor the traditions and everything, and I was wondering, what was this woman? What was this queen? Why is she so important? So I had these questions in my head, and I'm happy that you decided to do a small project to answer my questions. Actually, like you did it. You definitely did it for me. Yes, specifically for me. But I think it's nice.
Yeah. Well, I have this story really set in my mind, and I think it's interesting because there won't be as much like game-changing, world-changing choices in the prequel for obvious reason. But in the same time, there is one question I never answered when I was like writing the lore, which is, was Melisandre actually in love of her husband or not? And so that will be the part left to decide to the player. You will be caught by this handsome, very charismatic, but also kind of a bit of rude general. Will you fall for him or not, and just have like a political marriage with him? That's the plot.
Okay, very, very interesting it sounds. I can't wait to see it, but I'll have to wait a little bit, I guess. You have your hands very full with stuff right now, so I'll be watching closely and waiting for it. And now for something special. You send us some very interesting screenshots, and I feel like I need to comment them, like we need to comment on them a little bit. So the first thing I see is some kind of a weekday scheduling UI thing. What's that?
Well, that's what I was talking about, like the game was supposed to be a stat raising.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was my first draft of the game. Like, you were supposed to have your schedule and just like say, okay, today I'm going to spend time with petition, today I'm done lessons and stuff like that. So that was it. That was my very, very first UI and the very, very first attempt at gameplay that I wanted to try on and see. And I didn't vibe with it, so poof, gone. And when you have something that I rarely show and stuff like that, I just go to my work in progress folder with full of abandoned ID, and I found that and was like, oh, that's true, I started like that, and I really forgot since then. So that's why I shared it.
It's by the way, the UI again is very beautiful. I love it. Such a nice style. You do that so well.
Well, I'm glad, because that's the only thing I'm self-taught in everything, including UI, and I'm really bad at like literal UI where you have to represent something. But when it's all like texture and patterns and gilded everywhere, I love it.
Yeah, I can see that you have passion for that, definitely. And the next thing you send us is, of course, Theodore, my love. I think this is the first version of him, right? And then the beard came.
Yeah, actually, I love this. I love this image because he looks so unhinged without his beard. And actually, I wanted a man with a beard because I actually love that in real life. But it's really, really rare in Otome game. Like, I feel I had this preconception that maybe the audience wouldn't really vibe with the bearded man. So I asked the artist to do a version of him without, like, to put it on separate layers so I can remove it if I don't like it. But when I saw it, it's like he's like a completely different character without, and he's like so much more handsome with it. So it raised all my doubt, and now it's like his secret shameful picture you can show to his girlfriend to embarrass him.
The childhood photo.
Yeah. Oh man, like we can actually see how much beard changes people, even in art.
So yeah, and I also like this image because Theodore is actually the one who got the most revamped out of all the other characters. Since he had like 3 versions of himself, like this first version, but his complexion is a bit weird, like there was something bothering the artist with this, so she did a second version. And then when we switched full sprite after the Kickstarter, she kinda withdrew all the characters to match the body that she was drawing, and since her style had evolved, she had to do like some kind of adjustment of every face. So every character have like 2 designs, the original one and the new one, which is like small adjustments that most people won't even notice.
Yeah.
But Theodore has actually 3, and he's the only one who had so much.
Well, still he turned out very handsome. He was handsome from the first moment she drew him, and I love him with beard, without hair, whatever. Doesn't matter. Very pretty. Actually, all of the characters are pretty. But
so much.
I feel really represented with, not me, particularly my the things I like. I feel like they're represented in him. So, what you said with the beard and people in Otome games not having beards. So I really like beard as well. So.
Me too. I'm starting a fan club of bearded man. We want more in Otome game, please.
Yes, I'm joining that club, definitely. And there's another one, another sprite. I believe that this is the Master of Murmurs, right?
Yes.
But with a mask.
Mm-hmm.
The mask looks nice.
Yeah, it looks so cool like that. The thing is, so this was the first version of the Master of Murmurs. The thing is, he often are in like meetings where there is other people, so he doesn't remove his hood and stuff. And so we spoke with the artist, and they, yeah, but if we do that, we have no way to show the audience like his changing expression, especially since at the beginning there was only face and no the body, so we couldn't even use the body language for that. So that's why we dropped the mask, because at least now, even if we can't see his eyes, you can see his mouth, and so you can see if he's smiling or if he's grumpy, and it helps a lot because Master of Murmurs is kind of like a character that can say the most horrible things without patting an eye or being kind of like joking. He has this flirty, amusing, like he will say stuff with a smirk because it's amusing him. So without the mask, we can see his face more. That's why we removed it. That's the story behind.
Understandable.
So, time for a bit of a fun question. If you were to step into Kalidia for a day, which character would you choose to spend your time with, and why?
Asha. Like, there is no doubt. If I am a star in the game, I am not, like, assuming I'm not the main character, Alexander doesn't care about me because he only cares about the main character. Theodore is not like the most sympathetic person to spend time with, but Asha, she is lovely, she likes food, she likes drink, she will give you a tour of all the most delicious things to ask and show you the scenery that she actually discovered and loved, and she is the best person to spend time with it if you only have a small time. Definitely, Asha.
So the person that enjoys life the most, basically.
That is good at it. I think she's the best host of all the characters.
I see. So I think we're down to our final question, and all I want to ask is, do you have anything you want to say to our listeners?
Well, thank you for listening us for so long first. And just like keep playing Otome game. I'm so happy to see that they are more and more popular every year. And I just want more of them, even if I don't have the time to play them right now. And I just love to see all the project, and it's really helping all the devs when people show support and love. So just keep doing that and take care.
Thank you. That's all for today's episode. If you haven't played Imperial Grace yet, we highly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of political intrigue and rich romantic storytelling.
And a huge thank you again to Ayael for joining us and sharing the story behind this amazing game. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in, and until next time.